Before the world held its breath on the tarmac, the seeds of conflict had already been sown in boardrooms and government offices across 2 continents. For decades, Boeing stood as a symbol of American industrial might, its jets quietly stitching together global commerce, its factories humming with the promise of high-skilled jobs. Meanwhile, China emerged as both a vital customer and a fierce competitor, rapidly expanding its own aviation ambitions. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Trade disputes flared, and accusations of intellectual property theft echoed in the halls of power. In Washington, policymakers eyed China's growing influence with suspicion, while Beijing watched every U.S. move for signs of containment. The relationship was a delicate dance, mutually beneficial, yet fraught with mistrust. By early 2025, the geopolitical climate had reached a boiling point. The U.S. imposed sweeping new tariffs on Chinese goods, aiming to protect domestic industries but risking retaliation. In response, China looked for leverage, and found it in the heart of America's aerospace crown jewel. As the world's eyes turned to the skies, few realized that the coming standoff was years in the making. It was more than a clash over airplanes. It was a showdown over economic supremacy, national pride, and the future of global trade. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of diplomacy, business, and power. Now, with every decision carrying billions of dollars and thousands of jobs in the balance, the world braced for impact. The air crackles with tension on the tarmac. A brand new Boeing 737 MAX sits idle in the Washington sun, meant for Shanghai, now grounded. In April 2025, China abruptly halted all new Boeing jet deliveries. The official reason? A paperwork issue. The real reason? Leverage. This was retaliation for fresh U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods. A trade war escalation. China's move was a direct hit on an American icon, sending a message: your actions have consequences. The fallout was swift. Boeing, with planes ready for delivery, suddenly lost its biggest international customer. This wasn't just a business setback, it was a national crisis. The aerospace industry supports hundreds of thousands of U.S. jobs. When Boeing stumbles, the whole supply chain feels it. The halt created a massive logjam of undelivered aircraft. Boeing, already reeling from past safety and production issues, now faced a geopolitical storm. Planes worth billions sat idle, and the question loomed, what now? The company scrambled for answers, but this was a crisis no business plan could solve. The stakes? Nothing less than the future of American manufacturing. As the world watched, Boeing became a pawn in a global chess match. The silence on the tarmac was more than quiet, it was the sound of an industry holding its breath. The next move would shape not just Boeing's fate, but America's industrial future. The world waited to see who would blink first. Would Boeing find a way out, or would this standoff become a new normal? The answer would ripple far beyond the runway. This was more than a business dispute, it was a test of economic power. The fever was just beginning to spike, and the world was watching. Imagine a parking lot, not for cars but for jets. Rows of gleaming, undelivered planes. These state-of-the-art aircraft built for Chinese airlines had nowhere to go. Each grounded jet meant millions in frozen capital and a growing logistical nightmare. Boeing even flew some planes back from China empty because customers refused delivery. These whitetails, jets without buyers, became symbols of a broken partnership. Boeing had to act fast. Executives scrambled to find new buyers worldwide. Remarketing jets is a high-stakes game, finding airlines willing to take modified planes, fast. Meanwhile, production lines in Washington kept running. Shutting down would devastate suppliers and workers. The inventory of undelivered jets swelled, and storage costs mounted. Boeing gambled that the dispute would end soon, betting the market could absorb the excess. Billions of dollars sat idle, waiting for a solution. The company's future, and thousands of jobs, hung in the balance. Every day the stakes grew higher. Would Boeing's gamble pay off, or would the parking lot keep growing? The world watched as the crisis deepened. The clock was ticking. Then, a glimmer of hope. After months of tension, a temporary trade truce was declared. China partially lifted the ban, allowing a few Boeing deliveries, mostly wide-body jets. This wasn't a change of heart, it was a strategic move. China needed planes, but wanted to keep leverage. The gesture dangled a carrot: cooperate on trade and more jets might follow. For Boeing, it was relief, but not a solution. The 737 MAX ban remained. Most grounded jets were still stuck, and the crisis was far from over. The partial concession showed a path forward, but it was narrow and risky. The truce was fragile, the future uncertain. Both sides watched each other closely, ready to escalate if talks failed. Boeing stayed cautious, bracing for more volatility. Hundreds of jets and thousands of jobs still hung in the balance. The Ghost Fleet remained, a stark reminder of unresolved conflict. The next move could change everything. Beyond Boeing, tariffs were reshaping American manufacturing. The idea tax imports to protect U.S. jobs, the reality rising costs and chaos. Manufacturers rely on global supply chains. Tariffs made raw materials and parts more expensive. Companies faced a tough choice: absorb costs or raise prices and risk losing customers. Many did both, squeezing profits and competitiveness. Instead of a boom, factories faced stagnation and uncertainty. The latest data showed manufacturing barely growing, hesitation everywhere. Business owners delayed hiring and investment, unsure what the next trade move would bring. Some tried to move supply chains out of China, but that's slow and costly. The result? More confusion, not more jobs. Tariffs, meant as a silver bullet, became a blunt instrument. The policy created as many problems as it solved. The pain rippled from boardrooms to factory floors. The promise of a manufacturing revival was proving elusive. The real cost was just beginning to show. Lost in the trade war headlines is the human cost. Manufacturing output may rise, but jobs don't always return. Automation means factories need fewer workers, even as production grows. Tariffs push companies to invest in robots, not people. The gap between industry health and worker prosperity widens. Communities see productive factories but struggle with unemployment. Global competition and automation squeeze American workers from both sides. Families face uncertainty, unable to plan for the future. Trade barriers alone can't bring back the good old days. The skills needed have changed, but policies haven't kept up. The jobless recovery is a warning sign. Rebuilding the middle class will take more than tariffs. It demands a smarter, more comprehensive strategy. So what's next? For Boeing, it's cautious diplomacy and diversification. They're lobbying for stable trade policy and seeking new customers beyond China. Flexibility and resilience are now top priorities. For U.S. manufacturing, the answer is bigger, a real industrial strategy. That means investing in worker training, technology, and innovation. Competing on quality, not just cost. Smarter trade deals, not just tariffs, are needed. Working with allies to set fair standards and stabilize supply chains. The goal is a system where American companies can win on merit. Boeing's fate is a barometer for U.S.-China relations. The future of American manufacturing depends on long-term vision, not quick fixes. The fight to rebuild America's industrial might is just beginning.